Okay, so I think it'd be a great time to kind of have a little icon or something like that that tells us if we have messages. So let's go ahead and go into navigation.php. If you are building a project on UserSpice, you don't want to edit our core files, but because I'm showing you how I'm adding this to UserSpice so that everyone can have it, I'm going to be editing our core files. So the way the menu works is there is a navigation and there is a one of those hamburger menu things for mobile. And so what we want to do is we everything has to be added to the menu twice. So I'm looking at this thing right here. This seems like a, let's see, are we in, right. So what I want to do is, let's say, all right, this is, everybody sees this and it's your account. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this and I'm going to add one here. And if you go to Font Awesome, you can see that they have all these icons here, and you can. I like the envelope one. I think that's probably the best one to use. You can search envelope. There's envelope open. We're going to use just regular envelope, I think. Sure, why not? So what we'll do is we will go in here, and just a note: if you're in the menu, this link can be from anywhere. So you could be in a subfolder or something like that. So you want to have the full URL in the link. And so this variable here is the URL. So we're going to go ahead and make this a link to messages.php. I'm kind of sick today, so if I seem a little slow, that's what's going on. And then I'm going to put in the class of envelope, and then I'm going to put the word messages. Okay, so then, like I said, this is the drop-down menu, so we need to do this one more time. We need to do it as a regular menu item. And so we'll come in here, and there's a place that I'm echoing out the username. So I'm just going to, in fact, I'll just show you real quick. If you come here, you can see where the username is being edited out. So while I put it in there one place, I'm going to put it in one more time. And we're going to add another right there. And let's see, this should be right. We'll see. All right, I'm going to hit save. And then I'm going to refresh the page. And so I have a link there. And then if I resize down, I have a messages there. So now I have two links to that thing. I've got it there. I've got it there. Now it's not telling me if I have any messages, but it is telling me that it is a link to the messages. So what we want to do now is we want to write a query. And so let's come in here and let's go to the header. And if you'll remember, on all of these pages, we wrote a little function, a little PHP here that checks to see if messaging is enabled. So if settings, so we're going to come in here for a second and look at this thing. So we don't want to redirect if messaging is disabled. We just don't want to show something. So what we're going to do is come in here and tell you what, you know what, to be honest, no, this is good. All right, so we're going to come in here and we are going to write a little PHP. Let's get into the PHP here. So if settings messaging equals 1, so in other words, if messaging is enabled, then what we want to do is we want to write a query. So we'll write message queue equals db query select star from messages where let's do this. Let's look at the message table. Message 2 equals question mark and unread equals, hold on, let's look at that, message read, or what is that called there? Message read equals 0 and deleted equals 0. So let's do this. So where message read equals 0 and message, I think it's message deleted and deleted, just deleted, equals 0. Okay, and then what we want to do is we want to pass in the user ID. So we're going to do array user data ID. So what's going to happen here is if messaging is enabled, then we want to make a query and we want to ask, give me all the messages where the message to is the user ID, message read is 0, which means it's unread, and deleted is 0, which means it's not deleted. Okay, and so really we don't have to select the whole table. If we wanted to, we could make it just a little bit less heavy on the RAM if we do that. So now what we want to do, we don't care at all about the actual messages. So what we want to do is message C equals message Q count. And so what this is going to do is tell us how many rows it brought back that met this criteria. And so what we're going to do, we're just going to come in here to our navigation. Okay, and so we have this going on here. We have this line right here that, to be honest, we don't even want this line to show up if messaging is disabled. So what we're going to do is we're going to break into PHP and we're going to get this same thing back here if this settings, so oops, wrong one, if this settings equals 1, then close the PHP tags, okay, and then we're going to come down here and we're going to close that out. So we're basically completing this loop. If you click this, you'll see this one turns blue, this one turns blue. So if messaging is enabled, then show this item on the menu. Now we're going to come down here to the same thing to the other one, and we're going to add that same thing. So we're going to add this, if messaging is enabled, then show this on the menu. And there we go. And so we're going to hit enter. Okay. So if the setting is enabled that they can have messages, then we're going to have this icon show up. Now we're going to take that one step further. If you go back to the header, you can see that we got to count for how many unread, undeleted messages they had. So what we're going to do is, on this thing, we are going to, let's go ahead and do it here. I think this is a little different. Usually you have it in parentheses, but let's go ahead and we're going to echo out. Whoa, what did I do there? So we're going to echo out MSGC. So all we're doing is taking that query that we did on the previous page up here in the header, and we're going to echo that out. And I know we're going across multiple files, but if everything goes well, that should work out. So let's see what happens. So now obviously we have the idea of this thing here where message and message is. So let's go ahead and take this a little further. Let's do a little bit more logic. So if I come in here to the code and okay, let's see, the best place to do this. Okay, let's do this right here. Let's go, all right, if MSG C is equals 1. So in other words, if there's one of them, then grammar equals message. Okay? Else grammar equals messages. Okay? So if you have 1, it's going to say there's 1 message. And if you have 0 messages, or 2 or 3 or 10 or 50 messages, then you are going to get the word messages. So let's do this. Let's come back to our navigation and get rid of this word and we're going to echo out okay, let's see what that looks like. There might be missing a space depending on how the concatenation works. Yeah, one message. So because we have one unread message, then we're going to have this. Now, if I were to come back into the database and take these ones that have been read and change them back to 0, then I should have at least 2, if not 3 messages. Yep, 3 messages. So now when I click on this, then I'm taken to all my messages. Obviously, if I was here, I'd be taking 3 messages. So, I mean, that works. The logic works. Everything works. Nice and simple.